Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of my OOTP 25 series with the Oakland Athletics, and I'm just going to jump right into it because we have a very action-packed episode right here as we start the offseason. So the very first thing that I'm going to go over is the Player Development Lab. This is something that I probably was most excited about in the series, since obviously this is pretty much like one of the newest big features in the game. I've been thinking pretty much the entire series about how I would utilize the dev lab. I haven't really played with it at all in like an offline or a off-screen series, so this is my first kind of foray into selecting the guys that we did. If you would like a more in-depth video on the lab, definitely comment if you would like to see more of a breakdown of how to use the lab. I know there are already videos out there that talk about that, so the topic may have already been covered, but if you want to see it, or at least my perspective on it, definitely don't hesitate to say something. So getting into the players that I'm actually going to use in the dev lab, I went ahead and already pre-selected the guys to kind of remove the deliberation of it on screen to kind of save some time, because this should be a very busy episode and I've already probably talked too much at the beginning. So the first guy is Mason Miller. I've talked all series about or all season, well, which is the entire series, about how I want to try to raise his stamina. Of course, he has a profile that should play very, very well as a starter, so we want him to be able to be an effective starter and be able to pitch, lots of innings for us going forward. So we want to get this up. We want to make sure that he can be a full-blown starter for us. I've kind of said he definitely can start with 35, but we definitely want this to improve, and he is going to be in the starting rotation next season to at least see how it goes, no matter if we actually improve this or not. The second guy that we're going to do is also something I've talked about, is Estoy Ruiz. We're going to try to improve his defensive ratings. I think him turning into a full-blown, like, actual real center fielder would be very beneficial for his profile. He was pretty average. He was just slightly below average in center field. Obviously, he's at 65 range. You really want 70 as like a minimum at center field. 65 is passable. You can play somebody there and they might be about average-ish, kind of with some variance depending on the season. One thing with the development lab that has been kind of talked out with the developers, I don't want to go too long into it since it has been explained in the other videos explaining kind of how the dev lab works, is you don't want to just send in guys that have already reached their max potential here. So like, obviously, as one of our younger players, we would theoretically want to improve his bat. Obviously, he didn't have like a great offensive season last year, but we really wouldn't be able to improve his bat because since these ratings are already at their full potential, he would need like an outstanding outcome, one of the rarest kind of outcomes that you can get in the dev lab to even like make a dent in improving these. Now his eye and power have a bit to grow, but again, it's kind of a situation where there's not really, like, they're already pretty much only fully realized, so the chance of like having any meaningful improvement here is pretty low. So I think that's why I kind of think the best thing for his profile would be turning him into like a guy who actually can play center field, because also we don't really have many options. So for now, he's just kind of our guy there. So it would like behoove us to definitely try to improve those skills for him. Next guy is Mitch Spence. I didn't really know what I wanted to do with him. Obviously, he's a player that I like, extreme ground ball tendency, very good profile, which I'm interested to see how the personalities integrate with it, because good personalities do kind of help for better success in the lab. Of course, he doesn't have great stuff. I thought about maybe trying to improve his velo, but he's a ground ball that already has decent velocity, so I went ahead and went with secondary pitch improvement. It's one of the easiest ones. That's why you can see these are kind of helpfully color coded here, so you can easily see which ones are if you forget, you can know like the difficulty of them. So we did that, so hopefully he can improve one of the secondary pitches, which I think might help his stuff. I'm not actually sure on that one. Another one here is Max Muncy, who's listed at third, but he's definitely a second baseman. We have generate bat speed that kind of help his power. His power kind of is the least developed part of his game, although it does look like it could be quite nice. So we went ahead and tried to do that. He had an okay season in high A last year. So, and he's already 22, so hopefully we can, with this, we can kind of boost him along the way, and maybe he'll see, if he sees an improvement, he could be in the big leagues at some point for us this season or the next. The next guy is actually a draft pick that we made, Joshua Kuroda Grauer. He was a 4th round pick for us. Pretty much a utility guy who can play anywhere. He is better in the outfield. He probably is a better corner outfielder than he is like an infielder. We're also going with the power here. This is kind of one of my tests with one of these first times. Of course, he has a great profile here. It's kind of more of a contact bat with a good eye. We want to try to improve that power that really can kind of take his game to the next level. Of course, with his kind of utility ability, that would really help like maximize like what he can be as a player. So this is kind of like our most like going for it, I should say, like development to try to really like improve like the overall like outlook of a player. The last guy of the 6 spots is Braylon Doty, our 2nd round pick from the draft. This is kind of another test kind of thing. I'm going to try to improve his control. The main reason behind this is just looking at his relative ratings. He's really not ready for rookie ball like at all, which kind of concerns me going into this year. So I don't want like our super high like potential high school arm to just get blown up immediately in kind of professional ball. So I'm trying to go with improved control here to kind of help him along. Hopefully he can improve this and then raise his relative rating so he doesn't get like crushed in rookie ball, because I'm really worried that he's going to get in the pro ball like and get crushed, and his potential is just going to like crater as he goes on. So that's kind of a measure to work against that. Now, there are a bunch of other players that I'm going to be running through the dev lab through the offseason, and those guys are all going to be improved defense. I've kind of talked about that. This is kind of my attempt to maximize how many guys we can get in. Obviously, you see that a lot of these are like the full 3 to 4 months, full offseason thing, so that's why I kind of wanted to get this in as the very first thing through the offseason. And I'm going to try and treat this one spot as kind of the rotating improved defense spot. Obviously, it's only about a month to a little longer in time, so we should be able to rotate a few guys throughout the year. Some of the players that I would like to rotate through the defense, the first guy other than Ruiz, that is Jesus Rodriguez. Of course, we acquired him in the Yankees trade. I've also kind of talked about this guy. Pretty decent bat outlook as a contact bat as a catcher. Not great defense at catcher, so that's really what we're trying to improve here. Make sure that he actually can be a decent guy that we can actually put behind the plate, or someone that we want to put behind the plate. And other than him, the other guy that I'm probably trying to prioritize in defense is Hernandez, just because he is not really like a great defender. He's a second baseman, but isn't really a great second baseman, so we're going to try and improve him. I don't know if we'll be able to fit more than 3 guys. If we do, I'll probably throw some. I'll decide that at that time. I have an idea of a few people, but I don't have like a solid idea. So I'll cover that guy when we come to that kind of when we cross that later in the off season. All right, so getting into the actual people we're going to look at keeping and moving on from the offseason. Here's the guys who are ARB eligible. Right off the bat, we know we're not bringing back Derek Fisher. He made a brief cameo in the majors only because Seth Brown was injured. And then, speaking of kind of everyone else, Rooker, Andujar, Toro, Seth Brown. I'm going to try to do a trade for all these guys. If not, Andujar is definitely getting DFA'd. He only made a brief appearance in the majors before he was DFA'd. Perez was our backup catcher. We're going to go ahead and look at kind of trying to get these numbers down a bit. And it looks like Efros isn't even interested. So usually you can, as a smaller team, it's important to kind of eke out some value in these kind of offers. So we're going to go ahead and at least lower the ARB offers by a bit. So hopefully we can do that. Hopefully we can get these guys a little down. Looks like Jackson is interested in that. Perez, he's probably going to be the backup catcher next year. He wants a bit more than we want to go with. He wants 1.5, so we'll go 1.2. Try to save $100,000. And then Brent Rooker, he's the first guy, of course, that we're going to try to move. Had an awful season. We'll probably non-tender him, so I'll quick shop him and then jump to kind of what we're going to do. Accidentally cut out on the last shopping Rooker, and yeah, it's pretty much the same. It's literally just pretty much everybody on a bad contract that's a team's trying to offload. So we'll go ahead and waive Andujar. It's not really realistic that these guys would kind of get moved after these kind of seasons anyway. Toro's the only guy who I think maybe we could move for something. And Seth Brown obviously is someone who we would want to get a return for if we move him. So we're going to go ahead and shop Toro. And again, pretty much the same thing for him. Toro, I think maybe we would keep him. He wants 2.6 though. He's definitely not worth that. I think we're just going to go ahead and non-tender him anyway, since he doesn't really fit like a backup infielder role, since he's not a guy who you really want playing second base, and he can't play short anyway. So, and then lastly, Seth Brown, we're going to look to shop him. With Seth Brown, it looks like the really only actual interest we're getting is with the Padres. They are pretty much the only team offering a few prospects for him. So we're going to go ahead and at least try to negotiate with them. They're offering a Yendry Rojas, who doesn't look too bad, but we'd obviously like to get more for Seth Brown. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at their prospects and see if we can get anything for them. Alright, and actually looking at all of these Padres deals, I've tried a few things, and really, we won't really be able to get anything without adding to our offer pretty substantially. I pretty much shopped any of these kind of guys in the 40s, and to do it, we would have to pretty much add like a decent to like fine player. So we're just gonna hang on to Seth Brown. We've already freed up Brent Rooker's spot on the roster, so we do have kind of that extra spot. I wanted to mix in a different corner guy. So going towards his contract, he wants over $4 million. So I think we're just gonna leave him at 3.8. We should have saved some money, with hopefully some of the other things there, and. Yeah, and then with the pending free agents, all of these guys are pending guys. Ross Stripling, for $1 million, maybe. It's kind of a situation, I just want to see the market with, kind of our view there. We should have a pretty big chunk of money there, so we should have no problem bringing in some rotation, kind of depth, kind of people. So we shouldn't really have any trouble with that. Okay, now we've reached the award section of the video, and we're going to go over the award winners in all the leagues this season. So we're going to start off, of course, with the Gold Glove. Here are your Gold Glove winners. Carlos Correa wins it for shortstop. That's a bit surprising, but his defense is rated pretty good this game. I mean, not that he's not a good defender in real life, but just feel like there are a lot of guys kind of for that spot, and he takes it home. Looking at the National League winners, really not any surprises there, except I guess maybe Arenado, because obviously in real life Hayes won the last one, but obviously he's won a bunch in his time. American League reliever of the year goes to Josh Hader. Pretty stacked field right here. Yeah, it looks like he had a very ridiculous season looking at his numbers there. I mean, 112 strikeouts in 76 innings is crazy. Yeah, he's definitely by far the most deserving of that award. Adbert Alzolay is the winner in the National League. Looks like he had kind of a similarly. I don't know too much about this one. Looks like there are a lot of good options here. And Edwin Diaz on the list. It's just so hard because 108 strikeouts in 64 innings as well. Crazy ratio there. Like Hader, but he his ERA was a lot higher. I would assume would have to be a little bit bad luck there. I honestly don't know who I would have winning here, but I don't think Alzolay would have been the guy. Platinum Stick, or of course the Silver Slugger. Again, not a lot of surprises here. Wyatt Langford, of course, kind of talked in an earlier episode how about he's like the young cheat code in this game. Pretty much everyone else makes sense. Royce Lewis looks like he actually stayed healthy, and he's able to produce when he actually is healthy. Shane Wells, a bit of a surprise. I've seen him. He's usually pretty good in this game in the limited time I've played it, so not crazy to see him there already. And then nationally, it looks like James Wood gets it for Nationals. He's also playing first base for them, which is interesting. Obviously, he is huge, but he definitely can play the outfield, so he gets a Gold Glove and plays a lot this season. Looks like, I mean, he had to have started with them with that. Joey Gallo wins with the Nationals. What an insane Joey Gallo season. Hitting 180, 43 homers. I mean, this is just not a Platinum Stick or Silver Slugger season. I mean, a league average WRC plus. I mean, this is pretty crazy. I've honestly never seen this happen in the awards. Usually the MVP can be questionable, but and the Silver Slugger at least has it's pretty considered. I mean, it's crazy that he's here with kind of these statistics. I guess the game was maybe fooled by all the homers, I guess, but that usually does not happen. Like I said, Rookie of the Year, Wyatt Langford, pretty crowded field here. Shinywell there. Evan Carter also had a good year, but yeah, I mean, nobody's going to top that season. And then James Wood, similarly, is the winner in the National League. Michael Bush also had a decent season, but yeah, of course, James Wood, that season is going to win Rookie of the Year every time. And then Managers of the Year, Cleveland gets it. Of course, they lost the World Series, makes sense there. And Braves, the World Series winners. He gets the National League Manager Award. And then, so Cy Young, Framber Valdez gets it for them. He, I think, was the WAR leader, if I remember correctly. Alex Lang finishes here. I'm not sure why a reliever finished that high. Again, yeah, some relievers mix here. I mean, if there is a reliever that should be in there, it is Hader, and he is a lot lower than these other guys, so that is kind of confusing. Strider wins, of course he wins. Crazy season from him. I mean, not too much to say there. Julio Rodriguez wins for the American League MVP. Royce Lewis following him up. Yeah, looks like a deserving season. 50 homers. I believe he was also, he was the league WAR leader from the last episode when we went over statistics. So by 2 wins, so not crazy to see him there. And Michael Harris, the second, wins it for the National League, which is kind of surprising. Looks like Machado also had a very good season. Of course, he has a lot of value with his defense in center field. He was the National League WAR leader, so I think I think the MVP is pretty tied to WAR in this game, so that's why I think these guys, those are the winners. At least I'm pretty sure about that. And then salary arbitration, here's that kind of thing. We lost our case to Seth Brown. I believe we won in all of the other cases. So he received a bit higher than we thought. And then free agency filings, we'll go ahead and look at the international guys entering. I'm not sure how interested we'll be in these guys. That, of course, depends on who is here. And it looks like there's really not that much quality here. So not really too much interest here. Looks like this guy wants a minor league deal. I mean, we'll throw this guy a minor league deal. He could be an interesting depth piece. And then I guess the other person who's interesting here is this starter. But we're going to, of course, want to look at all the other starters and players of free agency. So that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to take a look at who is available. Of course, we're going to be priced out of all of these top guys. And we're going to be more bargain bin shopping for short-term deals, guys that we believe we can flip later in the year at the deadline for some value. And so with that kind of approach, I'm probably gonna sim, kind of just check in. I don't know exactly who we're going to kind of be looking for too much. I mean, kind of as a preview, where we're gonna look to get at least one starter, probably two. And it all depends on how this market develops. I see Brady Singer's here. That's interesting. He got non-tendered, it looks like, even though he was good. This is pretty confusing. I don't know why they would do this, so I take that back. We are just going to be offering up someone here right away. So yeah, we're going to, offer him the 2.6, no questions asked, for sure. So then Kyle Wright is an injury guy, so yeah, I think we're probably going to be priced. We do have quite a bit of money, so I think we might price ourselves in this mid-tier range. I'm going to kind of monitor the market with these guys, and then if, one of their demands fall, we'll look at like Severino. He probably wants a few years. He does. So we'll probably be in more of like the Quintana. He's an older guy. He wants a multi-year deal as well, though. So we're probably going to wait out on those guys a little bit, and then kind of dip into this section. And then kind of hitting-wise, we're probably looking for a corner guy and then also a backup infielder. So backup infielder, we're definitely going to be waiting on kind of that market. Speaking on the hitters, we'll probably be like in this Duval kind of market maybe. Like a 1 year, like 10 million for a guy or two. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of sim forward, even Joey Gallo. So we'll go and sim forward and we'll take a look at who's available and kind of have demands changed a bit, and also see if Singer decides to sign or not. So before we actually get into anything else, we're going to do the Rule 5 draft. That's the first thing that we have coming up, which should have an impact on what we actually do in the free agent market. And then also here we have the lottery results that were announced. So another small thing, and we are going to be picking 4th again, I believe. I think that's where we picked last season, and that's a 1-spot move up from the 5th pick. So we're going to go ahead and get into the Rule 5 draft. I protected everybody. The only guys that we had to do was protect that catcher, Jesus Rodriguez, and protect Brian Cuevas as well. So looking at the Rule 5, not too much here. Speaking of like high potential wise, I think we should pick Oscar Gonzalez, who is a fine corner outfielder. We'll look at kind of the top guys here. We don't actually have great scouting on any of these guys for some reason as well, which is kind of bad. This guy is not really interesting because he's a first baseman only. Caleb Ferguson, we could pick up him. He is making $5 million. He's of course an MLB reliever already. Jason Vossler is a corner guy. I don't really want to add one of those here. Would prefer to do that in free agency. Maximo Acosta is decent. He's played in AAA. He, although isn't like he doesn't have the positional versatility, at least right now, to play there. I'm not too intrigued by a lot of these guys, honestly. Maybe pick up a backup catcher. Here, I think that's honestly what we might do. This guy is a good defensive backup catcher, or at least better than we have. He could be an interesting guy to pick up, at least because we have Rodriguez on the 40-man now, but Banfield could be an interesting guy to at least put on the roster since he. So I think that's actually what we're gonna do. We're gonna pick Banfield. He's going to be our backup catcher this season. We'll just send Perez down. Not really important, there, not a guy who isn't a long-term future or anything. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Okay, everybody. So I have advanced to the day where preseason begins. So a bit of time. We're now here in the middle of January. And the first thing to update is the next guy on our defensive rotation. Of course, we did Estrella Ruiz as the first guy trying to upgrade defensively. Next was Jesus Rodriguez, our catcher that we got from the Yankees. And unfortunately, he has also got a no improvement. One thing I noticed with the development lab is just how much it changes throughout. Like, Rodriguez went from frustrated to struggling to on track at times in his kind of time in the development lab. And eventually it of course concluded with no improvement. So that's something that kind of interests me, just how much it changes during it. Just and I'm sure everyone isn't with the lab like looking every day at their guys' progress, but it is interesting to me that it can change quite rapidly. The other development that we have is I've of course offered a few other guys out, but namely Brady Singer, who I extended an offer to early in the episode. He actually signed, so we're going to go ahead and get him on the active roster. And then I'm going to quickly go over some other free agents that we're going to be going over. I offered up JT Brubaker and Matthew Boyd, who hopefully will be the other two veteran guys in our rotation. Kind of been pretty much waiting out the market on these veteran guys, seeing who is available to sign or who is willing to sign. A lot of them have kind of gone off the board on multi-year deals. This is kind of who's left. So it's kind of shopping this 45 overall tier. But of course, Singer, he possibly could be a longer term piece going forward, and I still might sign a reliever or two. Right now, though, we're going to focus on bats, bring in a bat or two. The first one that we're going to do is just bring in Nick Ahmed, or at least offer him up, just kind of as our veteran infielder. Now that Aledmus Diaz is out, and of course Nick Allen had a terrible offensive season for us, so we kind of want some veteran insurance there. Wilmer Flores, he's kind of the most interesting rating wise. Bad guy, didn't have a good season last year, but of course we want to get another bat in that we could possibly move. So we're gonna offer him like a 1 year 9.5. Try to obviously we don't want to give him a multi-year deal, so just try to up that yearly salary. And then the other thing that we have to do with the preseason beginning is go ahead and make sure we get our international amateur offers out. And we have a few guys that we've kind of prioritized during this period. So the first guy that we're going to go after signing is Juan Funes. I don't really know how to pronounce it. He is a shortstop with a power bat. I'm going to go ahead and offer up to him. Something that I'm kind of in the works with in the kind of the new international thing is I know like in previously if you wanted to sign like the top guys, you wanted to max out these guys towards the limit, but he has a lower demand and we want to try to get someone else in. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to bump it up like a full $1 million and see if he signs, because there are some other guys that I've could have gone with that have lower demands. Like some example is like this guy right here, like a contact oriented left fielder, and then this first baseman. I mean, he's not the most interesting, but someone who we do want to divvy up some money is this catcher David Hidrogo. Of course, OSA doesn't like him. Our scout loves him. I feel like it's worth the kind of risk. Of course, we're not offering him up much money at all, so it would be cool to see him sign with us. And then we're of course going to offer this outfielder as well, and hopefully we can get 2 out of 3 of these guys would be ideal, and hopefully we get all 3. Alrighty, so we're now here. Spring training has just gotten underway, and we've got some stuff to go over. So first and foremost, what we're going to do is we're going to go over our programs for player development. So they have filled out. So the first one that we're going to go over is Durrell Hernandez, and his was actually successful. So we, of course, rotated him, Rodriguez, and Ruiz all through to improve their defense, and he is the only one who actually saw improvement. So his range has now gone up to 60, which is great because I believe before it may have been at 55. I sort of remember it being at 50. We're going to go ahead and look at his scouting and see if we see it. So yeah, we see this rating improved. I don't see that his range improved. I don't see like the individual rating improvements. But yeah, so I mean, this kind of profile here, I mean, this is a legit second baseman. Hopefully he can, hit better in the major leagues than he hit last year. But with the bat here, the avoid Ks, the contact rating, I think that he can be a decent player for us. So hopefully we see improvement from him next season. And then kind of the other ones here, Mason Miller actually got a poor in his program. So of course we were trying to improve his stamina to make him a starter, and he actually lost a bit of velo at the end of the program. So not really great. Definitely not what we wanted to see. We're going to go ahead with him as a starter regardless this season. You can have a guy at 35 stamina. With his kind of profile, he should be an above average starting pitcher. So we're just going to go ahead with it. I think we're probably going to try again with the program next year. But yeah, not what I wanted to see out of him for sure. And then we have some more pretty much no improvements here. Mitch Spence, Max Muncy, and Joshua Kuroda-Grauer. Spence, we tried to improve his secondary, and no improvement. He's still going to be in the rotation for us this year. His outlook hasn't really changed. And then Muncy and Kuroda-Grauer, of course, prospects, we tried to improve their power, and nothing happened. So again, just kind of prospects where we're trying to improve their profile by like adding some power to the game, but unfortunately not. So still of course view them the same way since there's no improvement. And then one guy who actually another guy I should say who did see improvement was Braylon Doughty. I want to improve his control just because his ratings relative to the complex leagues were bad. They still are kind of not where I would want them to be, but his control did go up kind of in comparison to that. Out of the overall picture, we didn't really see necessarily like a current improvement. Still at 20 rating, but under the hood with the kind of using the relative ratings, we can see that it did improve. Not enough to show something here, but enough to improve him a little bit there. Unfortunately, also our scout opinion of him has kind of tanked over the time, which is weird because like this is obviously something that does happen with these like high school picks, but OSA still thinks he's like going to be a stud. So it's something to monitor, I guess. Of course, he was our second round pick, and of course, if you remember, we wanted to pick some other guys, but kind of with our very minimal draft budget, we didn't really have room. So he ended up just being the best guy we could go with there. I'm going to kind of do some other housekeeping stuff. Just going to show the Hall of Fame voting results. Todd Helton, he gets in. Adrian Beltre actually falls just short in his first year. Kind of interesting. This is kind of something I think is fun to pay attention to in the game. And there you can see, of course, a lot of first-year guys in real life. And a lot of first-year guys also kind of dropping off. So here's your kind of Hall of Fame view. And then looking at the international guys that we, of course, were offering up to, all three of them ended up signing, which is good. And I even got a bonus player. I don't see him here, but maybe I'll go over him in a sec. And then also just kind of an update, if I forget if I did or not, that Ahmed and Flores went ahead and signed. Just a quick, very brief overview. Don't want this video to go longer than it already has. Just here's kind of what our roster is looking like in spring. Some of the guys you can take a look at that are up with us for spring training on the hitting side, and then same thing on the pitching side. And like I said, I'm forcing Mason Miller to start, and I'm also forcing Matthew Boyd to be in there. The AI wanted to use him as a reliever, but we signed him to be a starter, and his profile fits much better as a starter anyway. So we kind of want to slot him in there as we want him slide in there as a starter. So thank you for watching this off-season video. Hopefully it won't be too long when I put it together. I'm also kind of recording these after long gaps in between when you're seeing this. I think it's going to be about 2 weeks since the last video, so apologies for this episode taking so long to kind of get out there, but the off-season video is a bit more editing intensive, and I've also just been busy and have been able to sit down, record, and finish it out. So again, thank you for watching, and definitely hope you are enjoying the series, and definitely don't hesitate to leave a comment, subscribe, or just let me know how you're feeling about the series in general. So again, thank you for watching.